There's a Chapel Roan Motorsport fact for you.
And there aren't many.
It couldn't be worse timing. Hello and welcome back to the Traction Control podcast, your weekly dose of racing game news and sim racing gossip. I'm Tom, once again joined by Tom, who's back, and John. And we've also got a special guest later on this episode, Austin Jurs, the social media motorsport sensation. And also he's got a partnership with Asetek Racing, and we'll talk about the SimRacing Expo. But before then, the usual nonsense. What have we been up to this week? Tom, where have you been?
I've been away, so I'm a little bit detached from sim racing news, although I was quite keen to read the Traction Control newsletter this week because you took over, Tom, and made some comments in the start of the newsletter about my writing style being a bit Pink Pony Club, which me and my therapist have dived into significantly, broken it apart, and I've worked out how to react to that. So yes, I've just rewritten. I've written this week's newsletter, and I promise there is no retort to your savage remarks about my writing style in this week's. If you're a Chapel Roan fan, look for the Chapel Roan nods.
Are there lyrics all the way through? Brilliant.
Yes,
okay.
Yes, there are. So you'll be able to find those if you're a Chapel Roan fan.
This feels like an appropriate time to chip in. I've actually seen Chapel Roan perform live at a Scottish race circuit.
Wow.
What a
segue.
I wanted you to think I was going to bring up Knockhill this week once again, but no, the Scot is not going to bring up Knockhill. It was at Ingliston, actually. Genuinely saw Chapel Roan at Ingliston, which was random. So there's a Chapel Roan Motorsport fact for you.
That is amazing.
And there aren't many.
No, that's the only one. Traxion.gg/newsletter to sign up to Tom's amazing newsletter. I just covered it when he was on holiday and took the mickey a bit. But anyway, we will press on and looking forward to reading these Chapel Roan references even. John, you been up to much?
I read your doom and gloom newsletter last week about some difficult, sad times in sim racing, so that was good. No, not as much this weekend in terms of on the racing front, actually. It was a bit more chill. I wasn't at a racetrack. I've just been working on a video that is going to be coming out later in the week, so keep an eye out for that one, a top secret video. Trying to get that all sorted and write a couple of things before we all meet up the next few days. So it's going to be full on, and we're trying to cram everything in, and it's been very, very busy, but all good.
Yeah, I think most people realise it, but for those who don't know, we work mostly remotely. So we're having a couple of days in Newcastle, so that means an incredible rush time for us. So this podcast will have already been edited, and we're by the time you hear it, we're already long finished with it. That's the plan. And also, John's been working on a weekend on a video on the Traxion GG main YouTube channel at some point this week, which we cannot talk about, but he had to do that many days before you see it. Anyway.
And another video that we have just worked on today, which came out on the YouTube channel yesterday for you watching this, but not for us. For us, it's tomorrow. Hope that clears
has
up.
Completely melted my brain. But anyway, I've been working on the MotoGP 26 review, along with some help from our colleague Ross McGregor, who was on the podcast last week. That is now live on the website and YouTube channel. But is that the one you're talking about? I've got absolutely no idea. Yes. But it's a 7 out of 10. It's perfectly serviceable, but I'd like them to see to push on more. So for more thoughts on that, please do check it out, because that was also a Sunday spent writing that after a week of playing it. So anyway, we'll move on to the news this week, and we'll keep it brief because we do have another guest. And we start with Assetto Corsa Rally, a perennial favourite of ours to talk about on the podcast. We love a bit of rally. It's announced a new car, which is the Peugeot 306 Maxi, but it's a car that rally aficionados absolutely adore.
Yes, I do indeed. Any F2 kit car from that late 90s era, I adore. And the 306 Maxi's one of the best two on an international level, along with the Citroen Zara. Of course, we have our own favourites in the UK, thanks to the F2 kit car domination in the British Rally Championship. I like the Astra and the Megane and all these cars, but you have to say that the Peugeot is very iconic. So purpose-built, like the most purpose-built rally car. Terrible everywhere, except on dry tarmac in France. And then all of a sudden, it was the Gilles Panizzi of WRC vehicles.
I mean, he literally drove it. So did Francois Delacour. And what's quite cool about this is Delacour is coming back to drive one of these in the European Historic Rally Championship this year. And that is the livery that's in the game. Any thoughts on your favourite Formula 2 car, Tom?
Yes, this is conveniently my favourite Formula 2 car.
Is it? Is it? Brilliant. So anyway, we don't know when this is coming out, and we did a story on the website a few days ago because they did a Discord Q&A, and we speculated. Well, they did confirm a Subaru. We need to find out which one it is. So, hey, maybe that's another thing by the time this podcast is that we know that, but we'll find out soon enough. Okay, moving on to a bigger thing, and I'll start with a comment on the YouTube channel of this podcast on last week's episode from Petra18. I have completely murdered that pronunciation, but there we go. He's got a Nissan 300ZX as his thumbnail from, was it IMSA Race Series? Anyway, a profile picture, not thumbnail. No news on PMR Japanese GT500 pack removal? Yeah, good point. The thing is, that happened after we recorded the last podcast. So we're going to talk about it now. We're nothing if not topical. But we covered it extensively on the website. This is basically that a paid DLC pack, which included several Japanese race cars that are not often seen in sim racing, plus a fictional, in quotation marks, racetrack. People have paid for this content, and you might have got it in the year one pass. You can still play it, but no one else new can buy it for now. We've not had any further update on this. So what do we think this means? Some pure speculation zone. And does it reflect well on Project Motor Racing? I suspect not.
It's got to be the absolute last thing this studio needed right now. Of all the things to go wrong, this is just another setback in a series of setbacks, and an incredibly unwelcome distraction. And I think the other point I would make is that it's not doing a great deal for the studio's credibility. If you think where they came from, right? That Project Cars 2, for some, not everyone, but for some, they'll say that was a peak in sim racing. It was one of the favorites. It was a lot of people started it at Project Cars 2. It holds a special place in a lot of people's hearts, sim racing hearts. And so when PMR came along, I think people were kind of harking back to those nostalgic days, thinking, well, this can only be a good thing. The launch wasn't great. And and then the recovery, the quote unquote 2.0, probably under-delivered. And now this is just the latest in a series of issues. I do feel for the development team here, because obviously they have nothing to do with this. They are working as hard as they can to build a game within what sounds like quite arduous conditions, tight budgets, layoffs, etc., etc. And the reputation of the game that they're building will have been hampered again. But again, this is a commercial thing, right? This isn't because of the quality necessary of the game. It's more of the quality of the organization. I know there's a question that we're going to be considering later on about, should I buy this game or that game? If you're on the fence, you've got to choose where to place your hard-earned money. Do I spend £30 on this, £30 on that? I don't know if you're going to look at PMR and think, oh, great, I'm getting on the ride here, the ride towards an excellent experience. That's not the message to come out. If you compare it to something like LMU or even AC Evo now, there's positive noises coming out of both of those games. Where would you put your money, right? Buy low, sell high, right? And I don't know. I just feel like it hasn't done wonders for the reputation.
This incident was like a ghost in the night, really, wasn't it? I mean, I know you didn't say this, Tom, but I think you wrote the article on this because it was flagged to you in the middle of the night. I think the article was out around about 7 a.m. to say that this pack had been delisted. So we had the coverage first thing in the morning. I woke up to the coverage, actually, which was interesting. I didn't think it was handled very well as a situation, because it was basically like thrown out with hoping that no one would notice, is how it felt anyway. There was no announcement until well after the fact, so we had to all speculate. I know you reached out for a comment from all the parties, and it took a lot of time to get anywhere. So they say all news is good news, but I do not feel like that was the situation here. And immediately it got me thinking, okay, licensing, the pack's not called the Super GT pack, it's called the Japanese GT500 pack, but surely the licenses are all okay because all the cars are licensed, but the track's obviously not licensed, and it was always going to be a little bit interesting on that front. And that is immediately where my mind goes when something like this happens. But we don't obviously have official word on exactly the details. However, it just feels like the whole thing is a bit of a mess.
Yeah, it's clear as mud. They did come out with a statement a day later that cleared up precisely nothing.
Yeah, it wasn't great, and it didn't really feel it didn't really feel like much responsibility was taken, but it had a bit of a strange whiff to it, didn't it?
Yeah, so they're saying temporary step. It does not reflect any finding of fault or wrongdoing on the part of the studio or publisher, and our focus remains on safeguarding the content for players. And reaching a constructive resolution as quickly as possible is one of the most bizarre statements I've seen in sim racing, because so you're basically saying it's not reflecting any or finding fault or wrongdoing on the part of the studio or our publisher. So they're saying, well, my interpretation of that, we've got to be very careful here now, because this looks like a legalese verbiage going on here, that it's not our fault, and our focus remains on safeguarding the content for players. So is it my fault? I don't really know. Our players cannot be safe. They're not unsafe for driving this. So very strange.
I think it's your fault, Tom.
Yeah, it's
That's
totally
that's where I'm landing here.
Yeah, and just to be clear as well, we spotted this because if you go traxion.gg/Discord, get the plugin early. Someone spotted it in the middle of the night our time and said, "Have you seen this?" And then I went on every store and it's not there. And I spoke to someone from Straight 4 who confirmed, yeah, we've pulled it. So at that point, they weren't in a place to provide a statement. I also contacted Giants, who then got back to me a day later and said, "Listen, we couldn't do it in that short time frame to get back to you." So, but the statement doesn't actually add anything anyway. So we went for it, and then it sort of spread from like wildfire from there, because I think this is such a controversial game. It had such high expectations. They're really trying to fight back. They are making progress, but not enough. And this has come, like you were saying, Tom, just it couldn't be worse timing. Okay, so now it's time for our guest on this particular podcast. Earlier, I spoke to Austin Jurs, who is a motorsport content creator. In particular, he's on many platforms, such as YouTube, but in particular, 300,000 followers, over 300,000 followers on Instagram, primarily with motorsport content, who's now getting into sim racing. He's doing some iRacing. He's become a partner with Asetek Racing, and he's going to be at the SimRacing Expo in Charlotte, which is between the 22nd and 24th of May. You can buy tickets with a link in the description. You can also find more information out on our website and the Expo's website. We will be there as well, so if you're visiting, we'll see you there. But for now, here's my chat with Austin. So, Austin Jurs, racing driver, Instagram star, and now Asetek Racing ambassador. How are you today?
Good, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Oh, that's all right. It's a pleasure. So we're going to discuss real-world racing, content creation, and then also a bit of sim racing, and it all loops back around together, hopefully. But I want to start with something that's quite cool, I think. One of the coolest things you do at the minute, which is I see you're racing a GT4 McLaren Artura, is it, this year? So how did that come about, and how's it going?
Yeah, so it all started, obviously, when I was real little, got into racing. But I'll save you the details for later on that. But that program launched last year. So kind of what happened was my dad always wanted a race team. I was an aspiring driver. I've always been an aspiring professional my whole life. And a couple years ago, I was like, I kind of want to go all in, want to do this for a living. And we wanted to start a GT4 team. So long story short, we got invited to be a McLaren customer racing guest down at VIR here in the United States. So we got invited down there, talked to a bunch of people, enjoyed the hospitality for the weekend. So basically, it was my dad. I was actually unable to attend that weekend. I was doing some actually coaching for racing that weekend. And we kind of went, my dad and my mechanic, my main number one mechanic, not the chief mechanic, they went down there, enjoyed the hospitality, talked to McLaren. McLaren was super inviting right from the beginning, kind of helped us kind of get on board. And we kind of started asking the question, what does it look like to start a McLaren customer racing team in GT4? So basically, long story short, 9 months of just full-on preparation from that point on. I think that was like July or August, so a little bit less than 9 months of last year. And then we just put everything together. We've been working for the last 6 months to kind of make this happen. The team officially launched in January of this year. And then, we're making a full GT4 America effort for all the races except for the COTA endurance race that was just this past weekend. Due to the fact that it's a new team, we decided to skip that one and only do the sprint rounds. But basically, I am also an owner of Advanced Motorsports, as you can see here on the jacket. So that is the team that we founded. And we kind of just went all in. It's kind of a crazy story on how that even happened. But in a nutshell, that's what Advanced Motorsports is. And that's how I'm able to race. And obviously, we'll get into it. But social media is a massive part of how I'm able to race in that championship this year.
Yeah, which is really interesting and unique. And it's you've taken the initiative to help you race by doing the contemporary thing of being really big on social media. But I'll touch upon that in a minute. Racing around America in a GT4 car sounds really cool to me, and not many people get to do that. So good luck. You've obviously got a really interesting backstory, though. I've seen on Instagram. You've been driving a TA2, which is like this, what is it, V8 and a manual gearbox on that. And then I've seen some Australian racing with the similar cars, right? And then you've won karting championships as well. And I think it goes back from when you were younger than 10 years old, right? So just, without going into it for a full hour, you could follow Austin's story on his Instagram. But how has the whole racing career come about?
Yeah, so I started in karting when I was like 9-10 years old. I kind of got into it more serious. Within the first year, we were going to all the national races. So here in the States, the SCUSA or the USPKS is very, very big. It's the highest level of karting in North America. So we kind of went in a year into karting. I was already doing those events, just obviously was not doing well, but just got absolutely thrown in the deep end in the karting. And I was in that for 5 years, actually. In fact, that's one of the regrets I have, is staying in karting a little bit too long. I think I should have moved up to a car a little bit sooner in my career. But, with the budget allocations and whatnot, it just wasn't really possible. So, yeah, I was in karting for 5 years, went all in. I won 3 championships here in America, and then a few national titles as well. So a couple national races. So that was awesome. And then, yeah, we moved into stock car racing in late 2023, I want to say. So that was kind of my first year in a car. I went from a go-kart to a TA2 car with over 550 horsepower. Absolutely.
Bit of a jump.
So bit of a jump. I never did the Spec Miata route. I never did the Formula Ford stuff or any of that stuff. I literally went straight from a go-kart to a massive, big TA2 car that you had to muscle around. So it was, talk about just jumping into the deep end. That's what we ended up doing. So yeah, I ran a full year of regional national races in that. Like the car, it was all right, but ultimately determined that the NASCAR route wasn't the route I wanted to go, and I wanted to pursue the sports car route. So, and again, me and my dad were the ones that were running that TA2 car as well. So
interesting. All right, so karting, big, gnarly, heavy stock car, and then now GT4 McLarens, which are very, very different driving styles. So I'm sure there's some adapting to do there. Do you have like a career goal in motorsport?
Yeah, my career goal is I know I talk about it on my social media videos to make it to Le Mans by 2030. I don't know if that is possible, but I believe, we're on this earth for one lifetime. You got to go big, especially like in this sport. This is all I think about. All I do every day is racing and trying to improve my career and get me to that next level. So ultimately racing in Le Mans, racing in GT3, and IMSA here in the States as well. Those are the two main goals that I have.
I mean, that's a really cool goal. 24-hour Le Mans it's a pinnacle, isn't it? Especially of sports car racing, and one of the most famous and renowned, if not the biggest race in the world. Yeah. So I wish you good luck with that. I think starting with GT4 cars is probably the right idea there. So, all right, well, we'll see how you progress, and we'll be following you on the internet. And speaking of which, and we mentioned it several times, but we've got to talk more about, in particular, Instagram. Over 300,000 followers. Primarily about motorsport. I mean, I did even see a bit of sim racing there. I saw someone's dog or your dog on a sim rig at one point. You've got some videos and reviews. So, how is that what you mainly do each day to try and help promote? How important is social media for your career? And how do you think of these ideas?
Yeah, so social media. I'll go back to how it started first. I started social media. I never cared about, being the influencer, the guy that's famous on social media. I didn't care about that. I simply saw social media as an avenue to fund my racing and to get to the next level. Because I didn't come from a billionaire family and, some that can just shell out all the money to keep going to the next level. We really didn't. We did everything ourselves, me and my dad, this little small team. Even at the highest level of karting when we competed, it was all me and my dad, and we pitted out of the back of a small Jeep. If you guys know what that is, just crazy stuff that we did. So I knew I wanted to be a racing driver, and I was like, I think I have a good personality, and I don't care what people think of me. So I'm gonna go all in on social media and make that something, because I saw it as an avenue. And let's be honest, more and more people, I think, in motorsports are realizing that if you want to be a racing driver in any realm, you need to have a social media following to attract sponsors and to get to that next level, and just to network. The networking alone on Instagram is just insane, the things you get invited to and the people that you meet. So I started that roughly a year and a half ago. Went all in, started learning every single day, posting videos every single day. I think at one point I posted one video every day for about 6 months straight, did not miss a day. So
that's intense.
It was kind of crazy. But I saw that as an avenue to making money, right? And I didn't really know where it was going until the last couple of months of this year, honestly, where I've kind of found some different income streams from many different places. And it's what I do every day now. So make videos, and that's been my dream ever since last year. So I've been incredibly blessed in that realm.
Well, you make some amazing content. I mean, you don't need me to say that. I mean, just look at the numbers, right? But it's really interesting that you're creating revenue from that and a business, and then helping raise awareness and funding for the motorsport. I think that's really entrepreneurial,
For sure.
and I think it's absolutely brilliant. So keep going with that. And one element is you're now an Asetek Racing ambassador. For those who aren't aware, although most of our people who watch and read our work are well aware, they are liquid cooling company and computer part company, but they also have racing as a division with steering wheels, wheelbases, pedals, cockpits, the full works if you want. And this is a new partnership for you. So first of all, before we get into the Asetek partnership, I see you've got a sim rig. I'm assuming it's got Asetek equipment on there.
It does.
Do you enjoy sim racing?
I do. Sim racing has been a massive part of my success because track time is so limited, as everybody knows. So I use sim racing. I try to get on the sim, once every day, like every morning. I try to start the morning with hopping on the sim, doing a race or two, doing a practice, whatever I'm prepping for. And I find the sim actually helps, not as much on the racecraft side, but more so on the learning the track side. So 3 or 4 of the 7 tracks. Oh, no, I think it's 3 actually. 3 of the 7 tracks that GT4 America is racing at this year, I have not been to. Which is crucial when you're showing up. You only have a couple practice sessions and you're right into qualifying in the race. So if you're not up to speed right away, you can't be there learning the track, when you're trying to be a professional. So the sim rig is the number one way that if I didn't have that, I don't know what I would do, because you have to be on the sim learning the track before every single race. So
does it also help with just staying sharp, I guess, like especially if you're
100%.
going into like an online race, you just sort of the racing brain engages, right?
The competitive level of sim racing is something that I've dabbled into a little bit in the last few weeks, honestly. And I can tell you it is completely insane. Like sim racing esports is on another level. And I don't think people really have enough appreciation for how good some of those kids are. I think it's a massive kind of stepping stone to getting into real racing. And I think a lot of those kids are really, really fast. So it's been something that as a real life racing driver, I can have appreciation for someone like that. And I've been trying. I mean, I've been trying to. I'm pretty good on the sim. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm not at that esport level because I don't spend like 10 hours a day on the sim. But I definitely think real life racing and sim racing, like as far as reaction times and keeping yourself sharp, is 100%. Like you have to do it just with breaking points, turn in points, just making sure your mind mentally is sharp. Because you can do a 3-hour race on the sim much easier than you can in real life. So just doing that mental stamina and having that, I think, is really big.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Learning the tracks is one thing, but like you say there, the mental game is also an underplayed part of sim racing, I think, when it comes to motorsport. And Joe, there are many sim racers out there who did a load of sim racing to try and get into motorsport. You did the motorsport route first almost, and then now you're in sim racing. I think that's an interesting dynamic. You just mentioned there, Austin, that you just received some Asetek equipment. What is it that you've been using?
Yeah, so I have actually received the Forte Formula Pro steering wheel and the Invicta pedals, as well as the Invicta wheelbase. So kind of Asetek's top of the line gear. So I'm really looking forward to trying that gear out and really diving into the settings of it and dialing it in, trying to make it feel like the GT4 car is something that I like to do, to make the pedals feel the same and the steering wheel inputs and whatnot, to make that as real to real life as possible, I think is super important. So yeah, really, really looking forward to trying out that gear.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, you've got plenty of adjustability there. So lots of time setting it up, playing with the settings, try and match the McLaren. And also, the wheelbase is strong and the pedals are hydraulic, I think, as well. So it should be quite firm. So that hydraulic should be pedals, really, really cool, like the race car.
Hydraulic pedals and 27 newton meters of force feedback on the wheel. So it's got everything that you need as far as strength goes. So
speaking of sim racing, we'll see each other in Charlotte in it's actually quite soon, and I still need to book the flights and accommodation. But
yes,
there is the SimRacing Expo Charlotte between the 22nd and 24th of May this year. There is a golden ticket, which can include access to that, but also the NASCAR Coca-Cola 600 race, the NASCAR Hall of Fame. And on top of that, there is Asetek golden ticket promotion where you could win that, plus travel and accommodation. We'll put all the links in the description. I think you've been promoting that. Austin, are you looking forward to the event?
I am looking forward to the event. I think it's going to be absolutely mega. I've never been to the SimRacing Expo, so I'm new to it. I'm looking forward to it. I've been to PRI many times and events like that, but I'm sure you could tell me a lot more about what that looks like.
Well, it's the first time in America for this particular the official main SimRacing Expo. So it's going to be a voyage of discovery for everybody. So we'll be in a similar boat, but based on the German events, they've been growing in popularity each year. It's a massive hall full of amazing simulation equipment. I'm sure Asetek will have a really good stand. I don't know if they've got a race car this year, but previously they have one, and they sometimes fire that up in the exhibition hall, which is quite cool. And then you get to try out all the new equipment, but also speak to the developers. There's generally lots of new sim racing equipment there. I think you sim race on iRacing, right?
Yeah, iRacing is the main platform that I use.
Yeah, so I think they've got a stand as well, and they might have some new stuff. Who knows? It's not been confirmed. So you can always speak to the people who make iRacing as well, which is really good. It's just a good vibe. And I suppose you'll be there on the Asetek stand, right? Trying out some maybe new equipment if they've got any.
100%. Yeah, we'll be filming content all week. I'm super excited to get there and try out all this stuff. Asetek actually, we just got some new equipment here in the office, so I'm excited to kind of try that out and get that up and running. So yeah, really looking forward to that event. It's gonna be phenomenal.
Cool. Well, like I say, we'll see you there. All the information is in the description of this podcast. But before we go, what's the next race for you?
Yeah, so we are getting prepared for Sebring International Raceway in Florida. We leave in about a week and a half. I believe the official race days are May 8th and May 9th. So May 8th and May 9th of next month. So we're getting ready for that. The team actually did some testing there in January. So I was there, got some seat time, got some track time down at Sebring. Been on the sim a ton, pounding that. So we're preparing for that race. This is only the team's second race in GT4. So there were some gremlins that we had to take care of at the first race with some mechanical problems, unfortunately, but we did some testing. I'm sure you might have seen on my social platforms. I've been documenting it, but yeah, we did some testing recently, and then to make sure the car is all ironed out and ready to go. So.
All right. Well, we wish you best of luck at Austin Jurs Racing on social media, although he's got enough followers already, frankly. But yeah, give him a follow. And yeah, we'll see you in Charlotte.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Pleasure to speak to Austin there. Hope you enjoyed that. And like I say, I've said several times this episode, we will see him in person in Charlotte. So keep an eye on our YouTube channel and website. We might have a fellow catch up with him, especially if Asetek's got any new equipment, which we don't know for sure, but it would be nice to launch stuff at an expo, wouldn't it? Anyway, finish off this week. We are going to go through some community feedback and questions. So the first one, the username is just ellipses. It's like 3-4 dots. And it was on Spotify, though, so please do comment and like on Spotify. That's becoming more of a thing, and we really appreciate it. Alongside, if you watch the video version on our YouTube channel, or you can even comment on a new comment system every time we do a podcast post on the Traxion.gg website. Comment plug completed. ... says, I got Assetto Corsa Competizione 2 weeks ago. Should I have gotten Le Mans Ultimate? Big question, that. Thoughts, Tom?
Well, I spoke about it briefly earlier. For me, it's a no-brainer, right? You either got a game that's peaked, doesn't look like there's going to be any further development on it. It's as good as it can possibly be for the price that you pay today, or you pay a price for LMU, and that game will get better and better and better in terms of an investment. It feels like the obvious way to go. LMU's, I mean, we can speculate. I mean, I don't know how many years you guys think it has, but 4, 5 of
minimum
thorough minimum of active development on that game. For that reason alone, even if we're not comparing like for like as they are now, if you're comparing the potentials of each, it's got to be LMU.
Yeah, I think if you had to pick one or the other, LMU makes more sense now. But what this comment doesn't cover is the price that they got ACC for. I would obviously say if you can, it's fine to get both, but I would only have recommended ACC nowadays at a good price. Not take nothing away. ACC is a brilliant game. It has been a brilliant game. There's still a thriving community. on LFM and other platforms as well, like Grid Finder, and of course on the game itself with its ranked servers. You've got a career mode in there. It's not very good, but it is there. So there is still plenty you can do on ACC, but if you had to pick one or the other, Le Mans Ultimate, of course, is the game that's trajectory is the most positive by far.
Well, I've noticed something. There's two ways of reading this question. One is, I got ACC 2 weeks ago. We're assuming that they bought ACC, the game, 2 weeks ago. The other is, I got ACC 2 weeks ago. And there's an ACC 2 at Assetto Corsa Competizione 2 that we don't know in existence. He got it weeks, or she, it's ... He or she got it weeks ago. In that case, I'd say, well, you're in some exclusive club there, and I think you've absolutely got it in the right direction. So we're making some assumptions.
Yeah, if you've got ACC 2, stick with it. But
let us know what it's like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Moving on.
Yeah, well, no, just quickly, my thoughts on this is, yeah, if you've got that for cheap or even full price, like, still a good game. Still a good game. Have fun. Enjoy it. Get to Le Mans Ultimate when you feel like it. It's your choice, your money. Have fun. Right.
That was wholesome, Tom. That was very
true.
wholesome. And be yourself.
Be yourself. Exactly.
It is a great game still, though, and it could still be great for the next year or two if the numbers are high enough to get good racing. So 100%.
Yes. But it will never get any future updates or supports or cars or content. Just bear that in mind. Okay. And then these are not questions, but these are a couple of comments we'll finish off with. Another one for Spotify. Magfree said, how about softcore simulation for games like Gran Turismo? That made me chuckle. That was in our debate last week as to is Gran Turismo a simulation or not. We were thinking sim light, but anyway, softcore simulation. We'll move on.
So we're not allowed an opinion on that?
Not allowed an opinion on that one. That's dangerous. But we might have an opinion on this one. So, Mikond, it's not always, we always have good and bad, or, well, it depends on which side of the coin you're looking at. We try and talk about all the very different types of opinions that we get. And this was on the Traxion Podcast YouTube channel. Let us know after each episode. It was quite lively last week, but hey, we're here for it. So this is Mikond, for example. Again, might not be pronounced right. Assetto Corsa Evo is resurgent, which is what we said. Sure. ACE at update had half of what LMU has daily. ACE still has many problems, weird physics, and no real purpose to play it in the first place. I want to see the game succeed one day because I can no longer refund it, but I don't see that coming anytime soon. P.S. Kunos can F off with any new promises that they will broke regardless. I think they mean break regardless. Anyone got an opinion on that?
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. It's a strong opinion, and that's fine. Everyone's entitled to it. I think that what that comment disregards is the unique selling point of Assetto Corsa Evo, which is, of course, the fact that we can drive these interesting and different types of cars from most other sims, cars like classic road cars and old machines that you wouldn't get elsewhere. And I obviously think that there's still so many features to come that this game is all about, right? We're still to see free roam. We're still to see a career mode. So assuming those things do come, then all of a sudden, of course, there's a big reason for people to try or play Assetto Corsa Evo over other things. Understandably, right now, none of those things are there. So you can have, until the proof is in the pudding, you're quite right to have that opinion.
I think the opinion is loud and clear when it kind of echoes, I think, the main negative sentiment from the sim racing community, which is broken promises, right? I think when AC, I know we've discussed this in the past, so briefly, like AC Evo, I remember the SimRacing Expo year before last. On our way to the SimRacing Expo, where we were on a ferry, we sailed a ferry across the North Sea to get there. And the whole way there, we were talking about Assetto Corsa Evo. This was the next generation of sim racing. This was the next phase. This was sim racing 2.0, right? But actually 2.0. And it was really exciting. And then when they showed the trailers and the gameplay, and they had the in-game economy, and you could buy your cars, tune your cars. There was going to be some sort of economy-based progression system. I think everybody thought Gran Turismo, but sim racing, sprinkle in some Italian flair, some Kunos, some incredible online racing, and you've got the best game of all time. And obviously they've rode back on a lot of that. So he's expressing it in an incredibly strong manner, but I do think the trust thing, it takes a long time to rebuild. I also quite like his observation that the only reason that he wants it to succeed is because he can't refund it anymore. So he's obviously played 3 hours
Yeah, well, thanks very much to them for that comment. It is a divisive game. It will continue to be until we ever see that mythical 1.0 with the full free roam and the ranked multiplayer works, and there is some form of career mode. So fingers crossed for that day to come soon, like this comment said. Anyway, that'll just about does it for this week. Thank you very much for Austin Jurs. Find him on Instagram. We've got the links in the description for his social media handles. Don't forget to check out the SimRacing Expo in Charlotte, coming very, very soon, later this month. And also, please like, comment, follow, subscribe, visit the website, newsletter, Discord. We've got it all. Social media @TraxionGG. We'll see you next week.